Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Kat's Garden, Kitchen, and more. I wanted to bring with you, because the holidays are around the corner, one of my family recipes. It is my grandmother's, my grandma Banger's, dinner rolls that she made my entire life. And I got a copy of it and I have it written down. But then I also, a few years back, when I made cookbooks for the family, I typed it up and put it in the cookbook. And so we're going to go over the steps on how to make it. They're Parker house rolls, and it's a really good recipe. So with that said, you need 2 packages of active dry yeast. You need 1.5 cups of warm water. You can do it just by the tap, by filling it like that. Or you can take a thermometer and see where you're at. And mine's a little on the hot side, so I'm going to let it cool down for a second. While it's cooling, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to break my eggs in here and get them beaten up. It's 2 eggs, and I will link the recipe down below. And now, what I do, it might sound kind of weird to everyone else, but my grandma always said, you want to take the white part of the egg out, because that's where the baby chick grows. And so she always took the white part of the egg out, and so that's exactly what I've always done, just habit, just the way I was raised. You don't have to if that's not something that you guys do, if you don't care, but my grandma was raised on a farm, my grandfather was raised on a farm, my mom was raised on a farm, and that's just what they always said, is you take that little piece out. If it was fertilized, it would turn into a baby chick. Okay, and you can whip it up with a fork or with an egg beater. When my grandma passed away, I inherited her egg beater, and I used that for a long time, but I don't use it much anymore because it kind of flakes off little black dots into the food, probably because it's so old. So I just have it on a shelf for decoration, and I bought my own. And that's what I use. But like I said, you could just whip it up with a fork just as easily. I'll show you whipping it up with a fork. Either works. Now, the funny thing about this is I remember my grandma had a tall canister that was quite thick. It was like a crock, almost. And she would take this, and she would take whole milk, and we would help her over the holidays whip up whipping cream in that thing. She made sure it was ice cold. She would put it into the freezer. And whipping it with the egg beater took forever and a day, but that's just what she did. And so I have special memories. That's why I keep this, even though I can't use it anymore. Okay, let's check on our water. That's filling pretty close. So, go ahead, get a spoon so that I can stir it. And like I said, you can just get hot water right out of your tap, as hot as your tap will go. And that's really all you need. We're going to let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes and activate. So I'll set it aside. And then I've already started measuring my flour out. But I've got 3 cups. I need 4.5 to 5 cups of flour. So, something my mother taught me, take a knife. You're going to use the flat edge of it, so not the edge that you would cut into butter and different things. And we're going to measure into the flour. And I have my mom's old Tupperware, just habit, what I was raised with, and her little Tupperware scoop. Just a little tip for you guys. When you get your flour, depending on how big it is, if you can fit it in your freezer, you put it in your freezer for a few days to kill off any larvae, bugs, or whatever might be there, because it's inevitable that you will. Flour, it's just the way it is. If you don't have room in your freezer, you take bay leaves and you throw bay leaves into your flour, your rice, anything like that, and that keeps the bugs away as well. So just a little tip. So another strange thing that I do, and it's just because my mother taught me this, is she always said you want to prick your flour a couple of times to get the air bubbles out, and then scrape across with the flat side of your knife. Now these are whole wheat rolls, just so you guys are aware. I've never made it with white flour because the recipe's always said whole wheat, but I'm sure you could make it with white flour. Okay, so I've got 4 cups right now. I'm going to put a little extra because it's 4.5, so about half of this. I don't put the full 5 in, just simply because I use that part in kneading. Okay. Next, we need to add 1/3 cup of oil or melted shortening. I've got 1/3 cup right here of oil. We're going to put in our yeast mixture. Make sure there's nothing left in these. Set all of our dishes off to the side. And believe it or not, this little stand mixer I got on sale at my work. I work at Macy's grocery store here in Utah. It was like a $20 thing, and that thing, I've had it for a year, and it works quite well considering that it's a $20 thing. You know, if I had spent over $50 or $100, I would think that's not worth it, but for $20, I'm happy. So, you'll get to see it in action. And then we need to do 2 teaspoons of salt. I've got a 2 teaspoon measuring right here. I love these measuring cups and stuff from the Pioneer Woman. That's my favorite. I love all of her dishes. But I'm using Redmond's real salt that is mined right here in Utah where I'm from. It's got lots of minerals in it. I don't know if you can see all the different minerals and stuff, so it's super healthy for you. We're going to stick that in. And then I'm going to lower this and just kind of give it one quick, fast mix. All right. Next, we're going to take a half a cup of dry milk powder. I always have dry milk powder on hand. I learned this tip years ago when I was first married and I had just a little toddler at home and money was tight. We always made sure we had milk powder in so that if we ran out of milk, we made that up. My kids love drinking it, so I still use it. I still have it around. And I always go for the one that says it's got real milk in it. And if you can see, I've got my fish here, Mermaid. He's watching. He's my audience. Wondering, what the heck is she doing? And the eggs. Let's see. Get spatula out. I really like these spatulas that are full silicone, that don't come apart, so you don't take the chance of dirt and yuckiness getting down in there. So that's what I use. Okay, we're going to give that another quick mix. Thinking of it before I forget. Let's see which start here. Okay. So if you guys are really big into gardening and like to garden, your eggshells are really good in the garden, but you want to heat them up first. You don't want to like burn them or anything, but just a slight color will start to show on it. You're going to stick it in the oven between 250 to about 300. And just as soon as you start seeing a slight hint of brown, then you pull it out. You can crush it up and stick it in a jar, and then when you plant your plants, like your tomatoes and peppers and different things, take a handful of this, put it into the hole that you dug, and then put your plant on top of it, and it will give it good calcium and nutrients. So I just wanted to share that with you, in case you wonder, why am I sticking the eggshells into the oven? That's why. Okay, so back to the recipe. So now we want to gradually add the flour. Oh, I did skip over. We need to put in the brown sugar as well. And it's 1/3 of a cup packed brown sugar. We're going to gradually add the flour. And this little mixer, I don't always add all of the flour all at once into it because it's so small. I will take it and put it onto my breadboard, but we'll add some of it. having to work really hard because it's a small mixer. I'm going to try and get what I can of this mixed in. I'm not going to add any more flour, and then I'll take it over to the breadboard. You can do this whole thing by hand. I've done that many, many times before I had this little machine. Okay, so now I'm going to take this over to the breadboard. Let's flip a light on for you. Okay, so this cutting board came with the house when we bought our house. And it was one of those that sits above a drawer and you just pull it out. And I absolutely love it. My grandma had one of these and she used it all the time. And I use it constantly. I don't use it as an actual cutting board. I use it to do all of my breads and rolls and pizza dough. So I want to get as much off of the beaters as I can. Make sure that your hands are floured. And make sure that they're clean too. Don't want any foreign objects in there. And if I didn't say this earlier, I'll tell you, if you're using the mixer, make sure you use your dough hook attachments. Someday I hope to get me a big KitchenAid, but for now this works, and I'm happy. If it seems to be sticking to your hands, get a little bit more flour. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with this spatula. We're going to get it all cleaned off. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to make sure that our board, or wherever it is that you are doing your rolls on, is well floured. I have a dough scraper. You don't have to use a dough scraper, but I work in a bakery, and that's just what I'm familiar with. So I'm going to scrape this on out. And I will take my rubber scraper to make sure I haven't missed anything in here, because it's all precious and all good. No reason to waste. And then we're just I'm going to stand up because it's easier for me. Make sure that this is all mixed and kneaded. Now, depending on where in the country you guys live, will depend on if you're in a high humidity area or not, will depend on how much flour you actually need. That's why it says between 4.5 to 5 cups. I'm in a drier climate, so I don't always need the full 5 cups. But if you're in a more humid area, you might need the full 5 cups, maybe even a little extra. And I still continue to use the scraper, make sure the flour is all with it. I often think back to our ancestors and think they must have been really strong people, because just kneading bread takes strength. So when you're kneading your bread, you're going to fold it over, then you're going to take the palm of your hand and push into it. Then turn it, fold it over, push into it. Turn it, fold it over, push into it. And that's how you knead. And when it starts to get sticky and stick to you, so I've got some left over here. What I'm going to do, punch down, pour it on top. And knead it on in. Then what I will do is I will oil this, because there's no reason to not use it again. Stick this in, put my dish towel that I've crocheted across the top of it, and let it rise until it's double in size. Between an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how warm your kitchen is. Once I have finished with that, then I will come back and show you how we do the Parker House rolls. Okay, so our dough has risen. And the way that you can know if it is ready is not only does it look doubled in size, but you take your fingers, push in, and if they remain, then it is ready. If it springs back, then it is not ready. So what we're going to do, remove my bay leaf. We're going to take some flour in this cup. We don't want it to stick to the board. And I'm going to use white flour. I like white flour when I'm rolling it out. It doesn't matter. You could use whole wheat flour. I've done it both ways. But we're going to flour our board. Take this scraper. We're going to plop this down on there. Okay, so now we are done with those two. I'm going to kind of flatten it a little bit with my hand and deflate it. And Then I'm going to cut this into 4s with my bench scraper. Pastry scraper, whatever you want to call it. Throw those back in there, because we just need the one for now. Okay, you want to make sure that your rolling pin, because we're making Parker House rolls, so that's why we're rolling them out, is well floured. Then you're just going to roll. You don't want them too thin, but you don't want them too thick. So I'll have my husband come on in and show you something about like this. Then we're going to take a little cutter like this, like you would cut biscuits. They come in different sizes and shapes, but this is about the size you're going to want. My grandma used to use an old can that she had that was from the concentrate orange juice that you get down the freezer section. Well, she kept one that was metal back when they used to make it in the metal cans. And that's what she used to cut all of hers. But I just use this because the concentrate cans are now not metal and would not work so well. So we're just gonna cut these. And don't discard this leftover dough because we will reuse it. Put my pan up here. Now what my grandma did, and it's what I do, is she would put a good amount of oil on the pan. Take your butter knife, and remember you want to use the dull side, the flat side. And you're going to brush off any excess flour. Take your little round disc, and not quite in the center, a little off-centered. You're going to cut down, but not all the way, because you don't want to cut it in half. And then you're going to roll it like that, so that you have kind of a little lip there. And then you're going to take both sides into this oil. And what I like to do is take the larger side and have that be on the top. So I'll show you again. So it's kind of a little off-centered there. And I do that so that it doesn't flap back open. So I will get these all cut and rolled. It will go into an oven once it has risen again. It will go into a 375 degree oven. I will show you what it looks like when it is all risen and ready to go into the oven. Okay, so now we're going to take this off and see how they look. They have been rising for a while. If my husband will come in here, I want to show you something. So this one popped back open because it wasn't laid proper. So what we do to troubleshoot that is we're going to fold it back, and then we're going to flip it over, and that should fix it. It looks like everything else looks okay. I'm just going to make sure. And there you have it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes. Then I will show you the finished product. Okay, so they smell really good and like they're ready. So let's take a look at them. Oh, the top ones look like they're ready, and so do the bottom ones. So let's take a look. These bottom ones, I'm going to leave them in for another minute or so to kind of brown up a little bit more. But that is what they look like. So good and delicious. I can't wait to dig into it. It's a little hot right now, so I'm going to wait a few minutes. I hope you guys like this. Alright guys, before I finish out this video, I just wanted to tell you, I noticed there was a couple of scenes that when my husband was filming, somehow they got turned sideways, and I'm doing this on my phone because I don't have a camera to do it on, and I was unable to figure out how to flip it. I tried everything and couldn't, so I do apologize. But with that said, I hope you liked this video. I'll have the recipe down in the description below. If you did like it, please hit the thumbs up and the bell notification so that you're notified of any upcoming videos if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And with that said, have a great day. Bye, my friends.